friends, my name is Katie from Lady Red Crafting. Today I've got some fun patriotic DIYs perfect for Memorial Day, the 4th of July, or Labor Day. So let's get crafting. Grab yourself some yarn and a USA sign from the Dollar Tree and let's make this over into a beautiful piece. I'm going to start out by just removing the hanger and all of the tinsel from the USA sign. Next, I'm going to grab my red, white, and blue yarn that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap that yarn around each one of these letters. And off camera, I did use a little bit of hot glue when I was going from one color to the next. So I would cut the red yarn and then I'd use a little bit of hot glue to secure it to make sure that it wasn't going to fall off of our piece. And then I moved on to the white and then the blue. Next, I grabbed this patriotic ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I absolutely love this blue ribbon. So if you can find it, it is really high quality ribbon. I really like it. And I am going to use it as my hanger. So I'm just going to thread that through the little hook that's on this USA sign. And then we'll trim the ribbon and tie that together. And this is going to be the perfect hanger to add it to our wreath. And now this USA sign is ready to hang, and you can hang it just the way it is, or from season to season, I do like to change out my wreath on the front door, and this wreath is just very generic, but you can take this embellishment and add it right on top. And I've done this for multiple seasons, and I just really love how this turns out, giving a wreath a totally different look for each season. So these little metal signs are a staple at the Dollar Tree. So I grabbed one and I'm going to decoupage on it a patriotic napkin. I found this napkin at Home Goods. And to prep our napkin, I'm going to go ahead and remove the back 2 layers of this napkin. Now you may be wondering, how is she going to decoupage this on such an uneven surface? Well, that is a great question. And I'm going to show you how so you can do this with no wrinkles and have a beautiful patriotic hanger for the season. So for this piece, I am only going to be using one of the quadrants of this napkin. So I'm taking a little paintbrush with some water and I'm just going to paint around the corner that I'd like to use. And because there isn't a red border around the whole piece, on that little piece of the napkin, I am going to remove that border as well. And if you take the napkin and just tear it around the outside edge where you've wet down the napkin, it'll remove really simple. And while doing this, it allows the napkin to fade into the piece a lot easier than if you cut it with scissors. And I'm not sure if this helps or not, but I tend to dry my napkin first before I decoupage it. Now for this next step, I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm taking my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I'm going to paint a little square on the center of my piece with that paint. Now painting is totally optional. I like to paint underneath my napkins typically because it really allows the napkin to be like vibrant in color. It stands out a little bit more. But if you don't want that look and want it to be more of a matte or muted color and it would fade more into your piece, you can do no paint underneath the napkin and it will give it a totally different look. Now I did do that in one of my videos previously if you want to see the contrast of that, and I'll link that above here for you to be able to watch after this video. So to decoupage on something that has a variegated surface, I like this technique. I'm taking my napkin and I'm putting it face down on a piece of cling wrap. Next, I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to paint that Mod Podge over the top of the painted area on this piece. And for this piece, I'm using matte Mod Podge, but glossy would work fine if you have that as well. And next, I'm just going to paint a nice coat over the top of the paint on this variegated metal. And while the Mod Podge is still wet, I'm going to take that piece of cling wrap and I'm going to gently lay down our napkin. Next, I grabbed a dry paintbrush. Yes, you heard me right, a dry paintbrush. And I'm just going to paint over the top of the cling wrap on top of that napkin. And it will allow us to just gently add that napkin into all of the creases into this metal piece. Then we're going to just remove the cling wrap and allow this to dry. Now once this has dried, I'm going to take my Mod Podge again and I'm going to do a nice coat over the top of the napkin to seal everything in. Now, while we have a moment, I want to tell you all about this playlist I host each month with my good friend Loli from Loli D Creations. Our guest host this month is the talented May with Craft Away with May. This playlist is full of patriotic inspiration. Now, if you love red, white, and blue crafts as much as I do, check out this link in my description box below and all of these wonderful creators. Give them some love and let them know I sent you. Thank you for watching and back to our video. Now, while our piece is drying, I want to make a messy bow. And I found that by taping down a piece of twine, it makes it a little bit easier to wrap that around my bow to tie everything into place. Next, I just stacked up my ribbon and a little bit of fabric that I had onto this little piece of twine. And in case you're wondering, none of these ribbons had wire in them. I find that with messy bows, I like the look of the floppier look to it, so I don't end up putting ribbon with wire typically in my messy bows. Now you can see me here. I just take the tape off of the counter here, and I'm just going to tie my little bow right in the center. Now here is what my bow looks like. You could keep the ends here, the twine on the back, and use that as a way to tie it onto something. However, for this piece, I'm not going to be tying it on, so I'm going to cut this off because I'm going to hot glue this onto my piece. Now here you see me trying to figure out how I want to cover the center of my bow. I could just leave it the way it is, but I decided that I ended up liking a button in the center, so that is what I'm going to be doing for my piece. Next, I'm just going to put everything together, and using some hot glue, I'm going to add that bow right to the center at the top, and then I'll use a little bit more hot glue to add that button to the center of my bow. And now our patriotic hanger is complete and ready to hang for the season. I just love how this turns out. It has such a fun rustic feel to it, but definitely screams red, white, and blue. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider hitting that like, subscribe, or share button below. Thank you. I really love this yarn at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using the red, white, and blue for this piece. I'm also going to be using this wreath that I found at Dollar Tree, but if you can't find one there, Hobby Lobby and Walmart tend to have these quite often. For our first step, we're going to go ahead and unwrap our yarn a little bit and then tie all 3 strands together. Next, I'm just going to take my yarn and weave this into my wreath. And I'm just going to tie that around a piece of the wreath that I feel like might be in the back side of the wreath. I'm not sure, you don't really see it, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, once you've done that, we're going to take this yarn and start wrapping it all the way around the wreath. And while I'm wrapping this around the wreath, I'm trying to keep the yarn flat so it still has that red, white, and blue line going through. And with the magic of video, our wreath is fully wrapped. So when we do that last wrap, I am going to leave a few inches of yarn available for me to be able to tie that back to our wreath. Next, I grabbed this ribbon, and I found it this year at Dollar Tree, and I love this ribbon. I used it in my earlier craft, and I just really liked how it lays and how it looks. So we're going to do that again for this one, and I'm going to make a hanger for our wreath. And one thing I'm trying to show you that I'm doing is I'm covering up where I put the knot on my wreath, so that way you won't see it because it'll be covered by our hanger. And for this hanger, I am doing a full knot on the top of the wreath, and then I'll go ahead and take the strands, and you could leave them as they are and then tie them wherever you'd like to hang it. But for me, I'm just going to make a little knot here so I'll have a loop so it'll be easier to hang. Now it's time to add some embellishments. The first thing I'm going to do is tape down this little wood star and paint it with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. Now while that is drying, I'm going to grab my blue ribbon that I used earlier, some of that burlap polka dot ribbon you can find at the Dollar Tree, and the little berries that I've also found at the Dollar Tree, but you can also get those at Hobby Lobby, and I've also seen them on Amazon. So once I've done a quick fit check of the size of the bow that I want for my wreath, I'm going to go ahead and set the wreath aside and start making our bow. So this is really simple. I'm going to just lay out each section of this bow until I have all the different layers, and then we're going to attach them in the center using a pipe cleaner. So I'm going to start out with the burlap polka dot bow. Then I'm going to take those little berries and I'm going to make a shape of a bow as well and put that over the top. Next, we'll go ahead and add that blue ribbon over the top of the berries. And to give it just a little bit more oomph, I'm going to add another layer of those berries. Now what I found was taking one layer at a time and smushing them together in my fingers. And then I'm just going to add each layer on top again. So it'll be a little bit easier for me to add that pipe cleaner around the center. So now that I have all of these in my hand, I'm going to take that pipe cleaner and just wrap that right around the center of that bow. And then you can twist or tie whatever is easier for you on the back side. Now I just hold the bow in the center and I fluff out all of my ribbons and make sure everything is how I would like it. Now to cover the pipe cleaner in the center, I am going to take a small piece of twine and wrap that around the center of my bow. And now that our bow is complete, let's go ahead and attach that to the hanger of our wreath. I'm going to go ahead and just flip this bow around, and then we're going to take the pipe cleaner and that twine and tie it around the back side of our hanger at the top of the wreath. And to make sure everything stays into place, I did add a little bit of hot glue underneath my bow so it would lay perfectly where I wanted it on the wreath. And now for our final embellishment, we're going to add that star we painted earlier and hot glue it right to the center of our bow. And wow, I just love how this wreath turns out. Everything other than the paint and the glue were from the Dollar Tree. This was such a fun piece to make, and it's so high-end looking. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for crafting with me today. I hope these patriotic DIYs inspired you for Memorial Day, the 4th of July, or Labor Day. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe for more creative fun. And if you're looking for more creative inspiration, check out this next video. And as always, remember, craft more, stress less.